Hey everybody, Gary with Basecamp Trading. Let's take a look at a couple of different markets we were trading this morning during the London session. First off was crude oil. Crude oil had been pushing down in the overnight session starting yesterday afternoon. This slowly was working lower, and then we came into the London session right in here, and crude pushed down, pivoted right there. As always, we establish our 30-minute opening range. We rarely take a trade in the first 30 minutes. And that's what these two horizontal lines are right here, is the first 30-minute opening range in London, which is from 3 o'clock New York time to 3:30 New York time. And you can see that crude just started pivoting, just pivoting inside its 30-minute opening range. And when you see this, that is a very good time to just stay out of the market. Anytime crude or any market is pivoting inside a range like that, that's a good place to get chopped up, and you just want to leave it alone. And crude is notorious for running stops at the top and the bottom, so I rarely take the first breakout in crude in the morning. And you can see crude ran stops right down here at the bottom, pushed back up, pivoted around, came up here, ran them at the top, and then finally in the US session actually broke out and then retraced back to the 34. We were able to get a nice entry, and in the US session crude pushed down nicely. But in the London session, you can see crude was just pivoting inside the 30-minute opening range. And when you see that, just leave the market alone. That's a good place to get really chopped up. And again, crude is notorious for running stops at the top and the bottom. So I rarely take a breakout in crude, the initial breakout. Usually wait for a breakout and a retrace just like we got right there. Again, none of that happened till the US session though. So for 5 straight hours, crude just pivoted sideways. As you know, crude is one of our go-to markets, but when there's nothing to trade, there's nothing to trade. Keep your finger off the mouse, it'll save your account. However, we did have a nice setup in gold this morning. Here's our 30-minute chart. And gold started pushing up first thing in the morning, and it was a little sideways, and then we had this really bullish candle. We consolidated, the 5 crossed the 13, and we set up this doji right here. And at this point we're thinking gold's looking bullish. This bar opened at the bottom, closed near the top, opened at the bottom, closed near the top, set up this continuation doji. As it turns out, we weren't sure at the time this first bar opened. We were thinking, okay, well, this could be a reversal doji, because gold was still kind of in a bearish mode. The 50 below the 200. So this could have been a reversal doji. And so when this bar first opened, we were looking at the chart and we said, okay, gold will have a reversal doji underneath 1553.70 or a continuation doji to the upside above 1554.90. And again, that was a pretty strong lead up, suggesting that gold was going to go higher. Again, the 5 crossed the 13. We were under the EMAs, which is always a little iffy, but gold was looking pretty bullish, and stocks were looking weak. Again, stocks and gold are not always inversely correlated, but often are. Stocks were looking weak, and so as soon as this continuation doji triggered above 1554.90, we got long in gold. And we were able to ride that on up, had a little consolidation, triggered another bull flag. Ultimately was able to take gold for 4 targets to the upside. This was our Unirenko chart. Again, our primary trading chart. And when we first came in, you can see gold just was kind of stuck on these 2 bars right here, these 2 little wick bars. This whole period of time took over 30 minutes just on these 2 bars. And when this bar finally closed up, that's when we were triggering that continuation doji. And so we just stayed long in gold all the way up to our target area. You can see on our gravity lines, this was in the night last night, and gold pushed up and then found a little resistance right in here. Right here's where those 2 wick bars were. We got long, came up into our first cluster of targets, pivoted back and forth a little bit, and then ultimately went up here and hit our final target for the morning at 1559. And again, good for 4 targets off in gold this morning.